Well, thank you very much. So our presentation is a little bit different, at least my piece of it, because we focused a little bit more on the strategy behind what it is that we're doing. Brad is then going to tell you a lot more about how this works in practice. So, Brad and I have been working on a piece of this together, and it's exciting to have him here so he can walk you through this and tell you exactly what's happening in the program itself. I think the starting point for us is that technology is really the second step. We're starting with the strategy of our school, what it is that we're trying to accomplish globally, and we got to the point where we realized that technology could play an incredibly useful role in helping us accomplish that. So allow me to sort of give you a very quick context for this experimentation with online formats. Our mission is to educate leaders for business and society. We have formulated 3 strategic aspirations for our team under our dean, Ted Snyder. The second one is the one that I really want to draw your attention to, which is to become the most distinctively global U.S. business school. U.S. business schools are not very global. Even the ones who claim to be global tend to only have about 30% or so international students. They might do a joint executive MBA, part-time program, or they might have another sort of initiative, some student exchanges, but for the most part, the majority of their students are not really impacted by any kind of international collaborations. That's a real challenge, of course, because in business as well as in so many other fields, people really have to be prepared for a much more global environment. They have to understand that customers are different in different places, that regulations are different in different places, cultures are different in different places. And how do you do that when your model essentially is to bring people to one place and keep them there for 2 years? We've put together, and you may have heard about this over the last 2 years, something pretty exciting that we call the Global Network for Advanced Management. It's a network of now 25 top business schools from around the world. It's the only network of its kind. Most of our peer schools might have a couple of exchange partners, or they might have one strong partner for a joint degree, but nobody has a network of this kind. And we have some of the leading business schools from Europe, INSEAD, IE Business School, IMD, the London School of Economics, and from Asia, National University of Singapore, Hong Kong University of Science and Technology, Fudan University. But what is really exciting about the network is we have the top business school from Turkey, and the top business school from South Africa, and the top business school from Ghana, and the Philippines, and Costa Rica, and Chile. So it's a really, really broad and diverse group of schools. And there are a number of things that we do together. We bring our students together for week-long interactions in different parts of the world. About 500 students in total across the network will be participating in something we call Global Network Weeks. We're working together on case studies. We're working to connect faculty. And one of the things that we've started to do is to connect our students via small online courses. And we call these courses Global Network courses. And let me just quickly explain at a high level the concept. So everybody who participates in one of these courses is an enrolled MBA student at one of the Global Network schools. They do this in the context of their degree programs. We have had now, well, we're at 3. We're about to launch the 4th of these Global Network courses. Brad is teaching the 3rd, so he'll tell you a little bit more about this in just a minute. But these are faculty-led courses, fairly small groups, anywhere between 20 and 60 students who are drawn from these different campuses and are doing this course in the context of their programs as yet another elective course. There's a lot of focus on global issues among the topics. We wouldn't be doing this to teach introductory accounting. It's supposed to be focused on global topics. There's a lot of emphasis on students doing group work in the context of these courses, because one of the things that they can learn through these courses is to collaborate virtually across time zones, across language barriers, and so on. The course is always offered by one Global Network school, and that school is responsible for the evaluation for credits and that sort of thing. And no cash changes hands. So if a student from London School of Economics wants to take a course offered by Brad, we're not charging them for that. And the reason why we're not charging them is because in the future we're hoping that a faculty member at the London School of Economics will be offering a course that some of our students might be joining. So the idea here is really one around diffuse reciprocity. And I have a picture there. You may have wondered who's the person there. This is David Ricardo, and so the whole idea here is that this is really influenced by this notion of comparative advantage. There are a couple of things that we're really good at. There are a couple of things that you're good at. we're actually better off if we all offer something that we're particularly good at, and everybody gets to join in the benefits of that collaboration. The first two courses were in the fall of 2013. You see on the right-hand side our dean, together with two faculty colleagues, Fiona Scott-Morton and Pierre Cremieux. They taught a course for 29 students on competition policy. During the same semester, one of my colleagues, Kay Sudhir, taught a course to 17 students from 3 schools about mobile banking opportunities. In both of these courses, there was a combination of lectures that were streamed via Adobe Connect and a lot of group work and presentations back later on. We were very efficient in our first iteration of this. We didn't even bother Lucas and his team. We actually borrowed, in quotation marks, the online learning platform of one of our global network schools in the Ricardian sense. This semester we're using Canvas, and that is a step up. You know, this was not particularly expensive to do because there was a lot of borrowing involved. These are the two courses that are being offered right now. One is Natural Capital, Risks and Opportunities in Global Resource Systems, and that's Brad's course, and he'll talk about it in just a minute. And we're excited that in a few weeks we're kicking off the first course in this series offered by a non-Yale faculty member, a professor at the Technion in Israel, who's going to teach a course on new product development with about 7 or 8 Yale students and 25 students from other schools. There is strong interest among our network. 7 schools, including us, have already expressed interest in offering a course like this in the fall, and we're hoping that in the medium term we end up in a position where maybe a dozen or so of our 25 schools are offering 1 or 2 of these courses a year, and you can see how that might be an interesting pool of electives for our students. Before I turn it over to Brad, let me just draw some clear distinctions between what we're doing here and what gets so many of the headlines. Our dean is calling these SNOCs, Small Network Online Courses. We've given him a lot of flack for the abbreviation. It has survived all of the ridicule. The point of it is, you know, people have this sort of instinct to think that technology means massive. And you can use technology, as I think the nursing school example shows, to craft, you know, very, very intimate interactions among students, sometimes even more intimate than what you would get in a physical classroom. And that's really what we're trying to do here with these SNOCs. So the students come from existing academic programs. So they're pre-qualified as opposed to just, you know, anybody unscreened who signs up for a MOOC. There's a lot more interaction happening among these students and among these schools than just that course. Because it takes place in the context of a degree program and students actually get credit for it, you know, there is an expectation that people will actually finish that course as opposed to, you know, the 95% sort of dropout rate that you see in some MOOCs. It's much more about the students and collaboration among them facilitated by a faculty member than the star faculty member who's very often the draw of a MOOC. And of course, you know, we're really focused on developing skills and capabilities in addition to imparting knowledge. MOOCs have a place, no doubt. This is something very, very different, and just because both of them use technology, we shouldn't be confusing them. Let me turn it over to Brad, who can tell you a little bit more about his course, and then I think we jointly can answer questions about this initiative. Let's see where, is it just a browser?
So it's just a browser, yeah.
And the browser
So David was talking about School of Management interest here. I also share a faculty position at the School of Forestry and Environmental Studies. And when we saw the creation of the Global Network for Advanced Management, we said, wow, what a wonderful opportunity to connect business and environment around the world around sustainability issues. And that's how we really structured the course here on managing risks and opportunities across global resource systems. The students that are involved, and we think there are 65 signed up, 45 to 48 seem active, so I'm not quite sure how many students to say are in the course, because some of the work is happening asynchronously as well as the synchronous. But we've got a lot of folks in. None of them said that they were focused on sustainability, but when we did a poll in one of the early classes about how many of them had faced resource constraints or resource issues in their work, almost 75% said that they had. So it's exactly the kind of group that we want. The thinking here in terms of the structure was we wanted to use the Yale system to get as many students in as we could. We ended up across, as David's slide, 14 different schools, 15 time zones, and I think that meant that's why we went to Adobe Connect for the, the online synchronous interactions. Canvas is terrific in terms of building this site for the course. How do I pull this down a little bit?
Do you want to just scroll down?
Yeah.
Just two
fingers.
Probably.
PC guy here.
Yeah.
There we go.
I'll be happy to scroll.
Yeah,
for you,
that'll
Brad.
be good.
Just tell me where to scroll to.
So we built it around these 6 resource systems, and I'll just show you one of them. So we have week 1 is looking at the system as a whole and a whole bunch of different information. Week 2 is a case study of Alcoa and some of the issues that they're facing in the automotive industry trying to steal market share from steel. Couple of different things here. One, immense amounts of material now on the site. And it looks much better than I could ever make it look. How did that happen? Our graduate students at the Environment School need to know how to talk to business people. So we engaged a whole bunch of them in putting together the material that they thought business people needed to know. We had MBA students working with them to make sure that it wasn't just, green hoopla, but, could connect to what business people would want to hear about. And that's how we put this together. Our hope is that we can use this platform in a variety of other ways going forward for the kinds of executive MBA programs that David and Paul Anastas and others are thinking about for the future, to broader teaching at FES or to broader possibly teaching in Yale College. So immense amounts of material here. The groups work pretty well. There's a people bar on the side here, and the students are breaking up into groups. And one of the reasons that they took the class was the opportunity to work with colleagues from other business schools. So I have to read tonight the first materials from the students' groups on Alcoa's business dilemma. And I love this because it's China, Mexico, India, Singapore, and Ireland who worked together to put this together. I have no idea if it's any good, but it's pretty cool that they had the opportunity to work together. And this is another component of the action learning part here, which is that this is a live case. Alcoa is trying to figure out how do they compete with steel in the automotive industry. They just had some big wins with the Ford 150 going all aluminum, but they're sure steel's going to come back and do something else. So they want the students to help them think outside of the box. What might they do to respond to that? So we use Canvas for the home. There should be an Adobe Connect one next, probably this one. Using Adobe Connect as the structure for the synchronous sessions. We meet twice a week, 8:30 in the morning. It's the only time that works across the 15 time zones. We can use polls for simple questions. There's a chat function down in the lower right that I can email to myself afterwards, and as well as monitor it during the class to ask questions. In this case, we had a speaker from McKinsey & Company. So part of the cool thing here is we have speakers from all these different entities that the students all want to go work for, so they're interested. And then we had one of the folks from the companies from Alcoa wanted to come to campus and check out the new Evans Hall. So we couldn't use Adobe Connect through the classroom, but the SOMIT people set up this live stream so that we have the fellow Randy Shucks from Alcoa speaking in the classroom. We have this. It goes out by live stream. There's chat functions back coming in. So it's been a fabulous effort from my point of view of just sort of jumping in. Tremendous support from Lucas and Sarah and Doug Forbush and others in the broadcast studio, as well as David and the IT folks at the School of Management. We do have a bunch of different issues. I probably didn't anticipate the number of moving parts, and managing the moving parts is a challenge. Each of our guest speakers is tremendous for the students, but has to test out Adobe Connect. Today we found out that GE computers don't get through, or Adobe Connect doesn't get through the GE computers firewall. So how do we deal with that for the presentation next time?
Quick question
We're still trying to figure out the participation grade. How do we do this? We can gather lots of data on when people signed in and signed out. We can hit the chat. How do we analyze that data efficiently is really tricky. We have lots of issues around holidays. The Chinese New Year is coming up. Different people have different spring breaks and things, and trying to sort of encourage them to treat their group mates with respect as they go on their holidays is tricky. And academic integrity is a challenge. The TAs have written most of the text on the Canvas website, so they know what's theirs. So when people cut and paste that text into the first assignment, they kind of recognize it. But we need to have more conversations about how one cites and works those materials. But I think the opportunity to connect lots of folks across the target schools is working out so far really well. I love the opportunity. I'm extremely pleased with the support we've gotten from Lucas's team, Broadcast Studio, SOM, FES, and others. So.
And maybe worth pointing out, Brad, how many, in addition to the Yale students who are involved in creating it, how many Yale students actually signed up for the course?
In the end, if you include, well, the answer is smaller than you think.
Okay.
Mostly because we told people they couldn't take it.
I see.
So we started with about 12 because we wanted to maximize the spots for people from other schools. And also, this is an MBA class.
Right.
So for FES students or for undergrads or for visitors to come in, we thought this first time, let's focus on the MBA students.
Correct.
So that's what we did. But that's why I say, in the future, personally, I think this is a great platform for doing stuff at the college.
I wanted to highlight it. Is it 12? Is that the final number, or
the final number is about 10? Yeah.
Yeah. So the reason why I wanted to mention that, because there's so much focus in Brad's presentation on China and India and other places. There are Yale students who are taking this course for credit, and of course you might say, well, they have straight access to Brad. What are they getting out of it? What they're getting out of it is to work with people all around the world and get their perspective. So we think that. Even for students who are local in each of these places, it's a very different learning experience that is beneficial.
We also had 9 students doing an independent project in the fall to prepare the class.
Lots of opportunities for our students.
So lots of opportunities there.